Welcome back. This is Jennifer, and this is my favorite crafty things. It's a video and blog series that I'm doing to share my favorite products of the year. This video is going to focus on die cutting. I'm going to first start out by sharing some of my favorite dies and why I like them, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about embossing folders and some tools that I use to make my die cutting easier, then also what die cut machines I like. So let's start out with dies. I love dies. There's a lot that I like, but I wanted to just share some of the basics first that I think are fantastic to have on hand. I really like dies that come in sets of varying sizes because it's good bang for your buck. I like these two a lot from my favorite things. You can see I use these quite often. This is Circle Stacks 1 and 2. Mine have a clear plastic backing on the back, but if you buy them now, it doesn't come with that, which is a good thing. This was the old model of it. And between these two, if you get Circle Stacks 1 and 2, you have every circle size you can imagine needing. And I've retired all my circle punches and saved a lot of room that way. The Circle Stacks 1 is, the biggest one is 4 inches wide, which is perfect to make a circle card to fit into an envelope. I also like these dies from sizzix. These are all the star sizes that you could possibly need, and the biggest one is the perfect size to make a star-shaped note card, and then it would fit into a square like 5 by 5 inch envelope. Now sizzix dies are unique from other dies because the cutting edge is right on the inside edge. See the cutting edge right on the inside, so when you lay this down you know exactly where it's going to cut. That's unique to sizzix and something that I really like about them. But all of the brands I'm showing you today are all durable and super strong and will cut forever. Next is another My Favorite Things set that I really like. Again, this clear plastic on it doesn't come like that anymore. This is the heart stacks. I reach for this often, especially this big one. It's the perfect size to make, you guessed it, a heart-shaped card. I use this set a tremendous amount. Another one from My Favorite Things that I think is fun is this pierced circle stacks. So it's all the circles, but it also at the same time pokes tiny little holes that looks like stitching on the inside edge of the die. So you can end up with die cut circles like this with those tiny little dots around it, or you can emboss with an embossing mat, which I'll show you in a little bit, and get really cool results. It's just something fun and a little more different and finished off than just a regular circle. My Favorite Things also has the rectangular pierce stacks, which is perfect for just kind of embossing or die cutting a piece that'll fit right on the center of your card. And you can see there's lots of sizes here. My Favorite Things also has these fishtail banners. Again, that plastic doesn't come there anymore. But if you like those V-shaped banners, but you aren't really good at cutting the ends just right, this stacks is really great. I also like that there's a variety of sizes here, and you can see they're nice and big and work great on cards. Now I almost exclusively use only the wafer thin dies these days because they're so intricate, but I do like this bigger old-fashioned die from sizzix and Tim Holtz. This is a super high quality die that'll cut through several sheets at once, and it makes all these great tag shapes. I use the big tag shape for my ink swatch ring, and because I can cut a bunch at once, this is a great tool to have. So sometimes I think these thicker dies really have great advantages. Now, besides the basic shapes, one of the things I really like about dies is word dies, where you can cut super intricate words like cursive words that really can stand out on a card. It would be miserable to hand cut this, and there really aren't many embellishments that would do this kind of detailed result. This die from Hero Arts cuts the word thank you. I love this one. I just think it's super classy. You can make a really simple card and just do something with this just to make it pop. I also like this thanks from Simon Says stamp. I just think it's nice and detailed, and you could stamp, for everything or something underneath it too. I make a lot of thank you cards, so I've got a few different thanks options here. The third one I like for thanks is from Paper Smooches. I just love this handwriting. I don't have the best handwriting, so I love it when I can find a product that does. The next one is this set from the Greeting Farm. It's Enjoy, Hello, and Smile all together in one set. And I use the hello on this card. I like how super thin they are, and they're smaller. So you can use them as a smaller element on a card. This one from Paper Smooches is awesome because it's giant and it fits across a card. So you could stamp some flowers around it or whatever. And unfortunately, I feel like I'm sending a lot of get well cards these days. So it's good to have this one on hand. And then this one from Simon Says Stamp has won my heart completely. The super large hello die. I love that it fills a card. You can stamp something underneath it if you want to, and really make this the focal point of your card. I've done a lot of videos with it. Here's a smaller happy die. This one I like because it's super thin and detailed from Simon Says Stamp, and you could put anniversary or birthday or whatever you want underneath it in a stamp sentiment and have the perfect card. I know there are a lot of letter dies out there. I really like this one from Fawn because it's a pretty basic font that you can use for lots of things, and you could still stamp on it. There's enough room on there to do some stamping on it if you want to. Now there are a few other random dies that I just find I'm using all the time or that I just wanted to share with you, so I'm going to cover those next. This first one is from Simon Says Stamp. It's these tiny little hearts. I love these little mini hearts. I put these as little embellishments on cards all the time, put some glitter on them, put some glossy accents so they shine, so they're kind of your make your own little embellishments that work on everything. Also from Simon Says Stamp is the Holiday Shapes. This has some more perfect looking hearts with some stars, or you can go for the bigger holiday shapes called Large Holiday Shapes, and these are great for making your embellishments too. Hearts and stars seem to work on anything, so I love having those. Now this set from Fawn is one of my all-time favorite die sets. It is a definite must-have. These hearts are awesome. I just love these hearts, and they seem to work on a variety of cards. Now I love all the big card dies that cover a card background that are out these days. This one's my favorite. It's from Simon Says Stamp, and it does falling stars. They even have a falling hearts die too. Now one of the first companies to come out with a lot of great, intricate, fabulous wafer thin dies was Memory Box, and they consistently put out really high quality designs. I really love this foliage die from Memory Box. It's just beautiful, and look I used it for this example here, not as a die, but I actually cut a stencil from some masking tape and put that down and inked and stamped over it and got these results. So you could use dies for the negative space to do masking and techniques. You don't just need to use the die cut. Memory Box has an incredible selection, and I highly recommend checking out all the ones they have. Impression Obsession has also been coming out with some great ones. I love this wheat one. It's one of their newer ones. This one I just cut it from white and colored it with my Copic markers and added some distressed stickles. Next is another one from Memory Box. There are a lot of great border dies like this out there, and I love these that look like landscapes. This is the modern landscape. They're great because they cover the whole span of a card, and you can layer these up and do lots of dimension. Quick and easy to do, and great detail with these dies. There are also a lot of great banner dies out there. This one from Simon Says Stamp is a great one to have. It does the little score lines too, so you know exactly where to fold. And you end up with these great looking banners that you can stamp a whole lot of greetings on. And you could color these if you wanted to after die cutting them from white. It's one of the great things about die cutting. Now I rarely use ribbon for bows on my cards anymore because they get smushed in the mail. So I love this little die from Impression Obsession because you can put a bow on a card without the bulk. Another fun bow die is this one from Simon Says Stamp. Let me show you how it goes together. It cuts these crazy looking pieces. You put some adhesive in the center, fold one side back, and then fold this other side back on top of that. You could put some foam dots in there to keep them nice and plump if you wanted to. And then you take this little piece here, you put some adhesive on it and wrap it around the center, and you end up with what looks like a bow. There are several of these dies on the market. I really like this perfect bow one from Simon Says Stamp. This guy looks so cute when he's cut from felt, perfect for a little girl hair bow. Now you have this little piece here that you can put some glue on and put on the back of the bow, or if you want to, I like to tear this piece in half and have the ends of the bow come out from the side of the bow, just a completely different look. I love the options of this. Now this is a bigger bow. If you want something smaller, there is an adorable one from Memory Box that is just as cute as can be. I love this tiny bow, but unfortunately I let a friend borrow it, so I don't have it to show you in this video today, but here's a card that I used it on. You can see it's tiny there on the vase, perfect little touch, and you don't have to worry about ending up flattening a real ribbon bow. Now I wanted to talk about embossing folders because they go hand in hand with die cutting since they're used on your die cutting machines. I'm just going to show you a few here. This one is this triangle one. I love it. It's from Lifestyle Crafts. Most embossing folders come in pairs, so there's always another one too. You just put your paper in between it, put it between the cutting plates on your die cut machine, and roll it through per the instructions of the machine. Now these work on all of your die cutting machines, and I use the Big Shot or the Vagabond. The Big Shot is what I'm using here, and you get this great impression on some paper. And this holds great in the mail. Great way to add some texture. I also love this one. It's the Sunburst one from Lifestyle Crafts. Now one thing to keep in mind with Lifestyle Crafts is they don't cover the full front of a card. So you're either going to have to trim it or leave a little bit undone on the side, but I still love them. I think they work great. So here you can see that little trim on the edge. Fantastic results. I'm really enjoying the Creative Companion embossing folders lately because they're 6x6 and they're big, and they also have that little slot in the middle if you want something to hang out the end when you run it through the machine. And these work well with the Big Shot because they've got the wide base. The dots on this embossing folder just seem to work with any style of card, and if you check my blog post, I'll link to a few more of my favorite embossing folders. One from sizzix and Tim Holtz that I really like is this star one. If you run it through on some white cardstock, look at it, just makes those stars pop. Great for a masculine birthday card. Now, Tim Holtz and sizzix have a great product called diffusers that are super unique and a great way to get more from your embossing folders. This is what a diffuser looks like. They have a bunch of different shapes. There's 2 different sets that you can get them in. You put your paper in your embossing folder as you normally would, and I'm taking the diffuser and putting it right on top of the embossing folder and taping it in place. Now I'm going to put this in my die cut machine. I don't need the top cutting plate. This diffuser replaces the top cutting plate. Now what happens is after I've run this through my machine, no pressure is going in that open area in the center, so no embossing will happen there. There'll only be embossing on the edge. So look at, I've got that rectangle in the middle that's perfectly flat that I could stamp in, and the embossing only on the outside. There are diffusers that are oval in the center or circle in the center. This is a really great tool to have. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about die cut machines. You always see me use the Big Shot in my videos because it's easy to film with. I use the Vagabond normally, but let me show you the Big Shot first. This is the Big Shot. I like this because it comes with this multi-purpose platform that takes the guesswork out of what sandwiches you need to do for different purposes. With all the tabs closed, you can do your wafer thin dies. With 1 tab open, you can do your embossing folders. With 2 tabs open, you can do less embossing folder. A little less of an impression. This is a great high quality machine, and I really like sizzix as a company. So you have these 2 cutting plates, and you should flip them around every once in a while so they don't start to bend. I highly recommend you add one thing to it, the metal adapter plate from Memory Box. This is a fantastic tool for getting really intricate dies to cut all the way through. So what you do with the metal adapter plate, this is really important. You put it on top of your platform, underneath the cutting plates. You don't want to cut on this metal. You can see once I did and it kind of messed it up. You're just going to beat up your metal plate. You want to just put these under your cutting plates. So it's underneath there, and I leave it there and it's always there. And now I can just do my regular die cutting between the cutting plates, run it right through, and that metal plate just helps to really cut better with intricate dies. I use this metal adapter plate also in my Vagabond machine. Highly recommend it. One other product I recommend for die cutting is Post-it tape. I use this all the time. You could use washi tape if you want instead, but this works a little bit better. It comes on this great little roll, and it's just like the sticky part of a Post-it note, and you just tear off a little piece, and this can help hold your dies in place as you run them through your machine so they don't shift, and I'll even reuse the pieces a few times. Now note here, I forgot to put my metal adapter plate in there, and this is a very intricate die in the inside. And look at it, didn't cut all the way through in the center there. That's because that shim would help. If you don't have the metal plate, you could just put a few pieces of cardstock in there too, but the shim really makes a big difference. Another product that is new and great is the magnetic platform. You could do this instead of the sticky tape if you wanted to. This is a new product from sizzix. You can use it in your Big Shot or in your Vagabond. And this just replaces the platform and is just for use with wafer thin dies, and it is a giant magnet. So you gotta be careful with it. It's a giant magnet. You just put your cutting plates on top of it. And watch, I've got this die here from Memory Box. I just love their dies. I'm going to put my paper down, and it holds that die on place. So you don't have to tape it down. It holds it there enough so that you can put the other cutting plate on top, run it through, and it won't shift. So you can see also this magnet is so strong you can still use your metal adapter plate in there, and it still will keep that die from shifting. So it's a super strong magnet, and it really works very well. And after you run it through, you can see how great that die is. Now another tool that I highly recommend is the embossing mat, because this is a great way to get more out of your dies. There are 2 available that I like to use. One is from My Favorite Things, and it's the perfect thickness. Actually, they have 2 in their packs, so you can change the thickness and how much impression you get. Or there's one from Spellbinders, but this is how it works. You put it onto your cutting plate, then you put your paper down, and then you put your die cutting edge down on top of it, and then the cutting plate again, and you're going to run that sandwich through as you would any embossing folder. So however your die cut machine takes embossing folders, you do it the exact same way. You may decide you need some shims of cardstock in there to put a little more impression. Just play around with it a bit. But these embossing mats are awesome because what happens is instead of cutting all the way through, you're actually just pressing the die in and you get this really cool look. And I love this. I use it in classes a lot, in my online classes, and I think it's a great tool to have. Very inexpensive, and it totally kind of stretches what you can do with your dies. Okay, now about the Vagabond. This machine is the best machine ever. It is by far the best die cut machine. It cuts everything like butter. The reason I don't use it in videos is I love my machine so much that I built it into my cabinet. So it's inside my cabinet here. You just flip a little switch, the sides come down. You can use all those platforms I showed you in this machine. It works wonderfully. It does the die cutting better than any other machine, and I just love it. So you can use your magnetic platform in here if you wanted to. You can cut wafer thin dies here if you wanted to. It's got a button that automatically pushes the platform through so you don't have to hand crank anything. It's an incredible machine, so I highly recommend checking it out. And see, here mine is built into my cabinet and I just can close it shut. So there's a quick overview of die cutting and dies that I like. If you're interested in any of the products, they're all linked below in my YouTube description. You can find them all there. Or you can head over to my blog at jennifermcguireinc.com. I have a ton more information there. Be sure to check my other videos and blog posts as I'm doing lots of different topics for my favorite crafty things of 2013, covering everything from stamps to papers and more. Thanks for watching.